This is the 1964 Ford Mustang, one of the most iconic and important American cars ever produced. Unless you're GM till you die, of course, in which case it is that scum car with the horse badge on it. In this video we're going to see how it stacks up against the competition on iRacing and how fun it is to... Wait, what? Hello everyone and welcome back to the Limit of Adhesion. Gareth here with another We Try Before You Drive video. Our subject is this, the Ford Mustang FR500S. The first renders of this car were first shown by iRacing all the way back in 2010, so it's been around on the service for a very long time now. Whenever this car was mentioned by the other guys in the LOA, I'd hear about how it was an absolute weapon of a car and blisteringly quick on the straights, so I've been quite intrigued for a while about it. In this video we're going to see how it drives on track, how it feels over a race distance, and how it compares to some other cars on the service. So here we are heading out of the pits at Okayama in the Mustang. Now I didn't really know what to expect from this car, but what I was predicting was it would be a struggle to get the power down out of the corners without spinning, and it would be a lumbering understeery lump of a car on the way in. And on cold tyres it sort of does feel like that. You do need to be a little respectful of the car and manage your expectations while everything builds up to temperature. And while it is doing that, let's talk some numbers. iRacing's own blurb tells us this is the first ever race car to be built on a Ford production line for sales to the public. The car has a 4.6 litre V8 engine, there'd be riots if it wasn't a V8, eh? Producing 325 brake horsepower, which is sent to the rear wheels via a 6-speed manual transmission. The Mustang has a live rear axle, which does seem a bit old-fashioned in the 21st century. Be careful you don't have your drivetrain stolen by antique hunters in low-speed hairpins. An all-in weight of 1.6 tonnes including fuel and driver is pretty decent, and it shows in the way the Mustang gathers speed down the straights. Now I mentioned that I was expecting an ill-behaved car earlier, and I actually couldn't have been more wrong, because once this thing warms up it is an absolute joy to drive. You can get the rear wheels to break traction just enough through the corners to hold the car in some wonderful slides and then just bring it back into line whenever you feel like. It's a very responsive and exciting car to race. Speaking of racing, the Mustang is currently only available for use in the Simrad Production Car Challenge, which is a D-licensed multi-car series with the Mazda MX-5, VW Jetta and the Pontiac Solstice also available to race. The Mustang is the only one of the four that you have to buy. Here are some clips of my first Mustang race at Oran Park. You can see I screwed up with this spin early on in Champion Corner and then spent the rest of the race trying to ease my way through MX-5s without murdering them. It was an intense experience, but I thoroughly enjoyed my race. Sure, I was way off the pace of the Mustang regulars, but for a new car for me to finish like that, it was a good experience. Next Mustang race for me was at Spa. You can see the pole man dropping it as we come through Radion for the first time, which proves that even the best Mustang drivers can be caught out. I was initially running second, but Eduardo passed me, and when my rear tyres went off a cliff on the last lap, I was easy pickings for Jared, as you can see here. Last Mustang out of 4 finishes for me, but still a really fun, if fairly lonely race. We've looked at the Mustang in some races and we know how it compares to the MX-5, Jetta and Solstice. But what about some real competition? Is it really the super fast weapon I was told about? Well, we're back at Okayama, and after 5 laps, here was my best lap. A 1:43.16. Bearing in mind I've not had too much experience in the car, so I know that time is absolute pants. But I also haven't driven the cars I'm pitting the Mustang against before either, so this should be a pretty fair contest. Now let's try the Ford's natural enemy, the 460 brake horsepower Cadillac CTS-V. No contest as the far more powerful Caddy smashes the Ford with a 131.9. That Cadillac is rapid. Next up then is the McLaren 570S GT4, but that was faster as well with a 136.18. Finally, I tried the Audi RS3 LMS touring car, which has 350 brake horsepower but front wheel drive, and that got around the track pre-balance of power update with a 139.15. Sorry Blue Oval fans, but in my hands at least the Mustang isn't that quick compared to similar-ish cars available on iRacing. Is this a good car? Yes, I had to say I've thoroughly enjoyed my time in the Mustang to date, and I'm looking forward to racing it more in future. I'm not sure yet how much setup changes affect the car, but I have seen some forum recommendations and I will be trying those out. So would I recommend you buy this car? No, sadly the answer is I wouldn't. Look, I'm not privy to iRacing sales data and I don't want to be, but this car has been available for purchase for over a decade now. I hope that it has at least made a return on their investment. It's only available to race in the Production Car Challenge, which is an hourly series, but how many times a week do you want to be doing the same race in the same car? For the same money, you can buy the much newer McLaren 570S, the Mercedes W12 F1, or perhaps one of the new touring cars, which is why I would implore iRacing to move the Mustang to free content. I really like the car. I think a lot of you will like the car, but I just don't see it as being value for money in 2022, because ultimately, if you want a V8 firecracker of a car in D licence, there is already a ridiculously good free option available, and that is always going to stop people buying the Mustang. Thanks for watching this review of the Mustang. Please do like it if you enjoyed it and consider subscribing to the LOA. We're a racing league first and foremost, so if you fancy a race of us, come say hi on Discord. Until next time though, laters potatoes!